We will step on the gas to our next guest, however. The man accused of storming the dinner on Saturday night, making his first court appearance. Prosecutors saying that Cole Allen was loaded up with guns and knives when he tried to storm the dinner. Right now, he's facing 3 federal charges. They include attempting to assassinate a president, which would, if convicted, carry a life sentence. Cully Stimson, former federal prosecutor, with us now. And Cully, good day to you. Jeanine Pirro, U.S. Attorney, Washington, D.C., with Laura last night. She says more charges may be in the offing. Watch.
There will be nothing that won't be identified and discovered as it relates to his past actions with this digital footprint that we're looking to establish right now. Now we have the evidence we need, the complaint we needed for the presentment. There will be a hearing on Thursday and then another preliminary hearing in May. Make no mistake, this is just the beginning of this indictment, of these charges.
Okay, Cully, just the beginning. Just space it out for us about what you think they have and where it goes next.
Yeah, well, this is not a whodunit. He done it, number one. Number two, they're gathering evidence, as the judge said, that will substantiate the presentment to the grand jury and facts drive charges. And so the real question is, how many charges will they put in the indictment, and will there be a superseding indictment when additional information comes to bear? But Thursday is a bond hearing. He'll be denied bond. Then they'll present the case to the grand jury. The grand jury will issue an indictment, and then we'll go forward from there. He has a federal public defender. They're very good here in D.C., and so this is not a whodunit. This is what he done it.
Would you, since it's not a whodunit, would you expect him? I guess the lawyers are going to tell him to plead not guilty.
Well, of course, it's in his decision alone to decide whether or not to plead guilty or not. But this is essentially a slow plea. This guy did it. And so if he wants to have his trial, he's going to get his day in court. And some people are saying, oh, D.C. juries are not going to convict. I don't think in this type of case, when he could have shot and killed you all, reporters, including reporters on the left, on his way into try to kill the president. And as your graphic showed before, we all have been to that ballroom before. He had a long way to go from that floor down those 2 sets of stairs to the ballroom itself. There were hundreds of Secret Service and other agents between him and the president, as Todd said yesterday. So I think this was a suicide mission on his part.
Right.
The other thing I would note is that his manifesto, which wasn't very long, really takes off, I think, the defense of not guilty by reason of insanity. This is willful, deliberate, thought out. So when you're the public defender and you're dealing with a guy who's rational, he's a whack job, but he's rational, and he understood the difference between right and wrong, that takes the not guilty by reason of insanity off the table for defense.
Okay, so just take it a step further. What would there be a defense then in a case like this? I read through it. I think you're probably right about understanding what's right and what's wrong, Cully.
Well, there's always the standard defense that the government didn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard. And I've asserted that defense on behalf of clients before when I was a criminal defense attorney, but I've been a prosecutor too. And this is not a case that you lose in court unless you engage in some type of prosecutorial misconduct. Jocelyn Ballantyne is the prosecutor on this case. She's one of Jeanine Pirro's good prosecutors. I worked with Jocelyn when I was in the office. Again, the government has to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, he's presumed innocent from a constitutional standpoint unless he's proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by clear and competent evidence. But again, I think the defense is going to go to him and say, look, dude, you did it. They got you. You told everyone you were going to do it. So they're going to try to carve some deal. The interesting thing about the sentencing scheme is here, if you look at the statute, if he's found guilty of trying to assassinate the president, the sentence is a term of years up to life. So they're going to argue to the government, look, give them a set number of years and we'll agree to a cap if there's a plea negotiation at all. But I doubt Jeanine and this Justice Department is going to agree to any plea.
Okay, so Cully, thank you so much for being here as we untangle all of this. The next hearing is on Thursday. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Cully.
Sure thing.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.